So Twitter is burning down before our very eyes. And what's that I see? Tumblr allowing not safe for work content back on the platform? Oh, this is gonna be interesting. So I, like many others who were Tumblr kids in the 2012 through 2015 era or so, have a good bit of nostalgia for the platform. Now, some of that is unfounded because, like most social media platforms, there's a good bit of toxicity that existed in various forms on the platform, and it certainly may have contributed to negative developmental consequences for the youth. But there are other YouTube videos that I think go into that really well by some really awesome creators, so I'll link a couple below if you maybe aren't so familiar with Tumblr culture or you weren't a Tumblr veteran and you'd like to know more about the topic. This video, I really wanted to talk about a potential actual resurgence of Tumblr in the ashes of Twitter. So Tumblr has been, in a way, kind of dead since the late 2010s. I use Tumblr more than any other platform in the early to mid 2010s, but I naturally kind of phased out of using it, coincidentally around the time that not safe for work content was banned. No comment on what that tells you about what I use Tumblr for. But really, other social media platforms just kind of became my go-to, like YouTube and Instagram. And I think that honestly most people, if you kind of remember the 2016 through 2019 era, have fonder associated memories with Instagram and YouTube than they might have with Tumblr. Of course, that's not to say that Tumblr actually died. Plenty of people continue to use it over the years. And even though a lot of the users lost interest and moved on, the people who stayed fostered a calmer, smaller community experience. But now, could Tumblr have a resurgence? A lot of the user base of platforms like TikTok, being younger Gen Z still in their teens, never had a Tumblr moment. I'm 22, an older Gen Z individual that had the full experience, so I can certainly see that younger Gen Zs would have some sort of an interest in reinvigorating and reinventing the Tumblr experience. Yesterday, which was November 5th, 2022, I noticed Tumblr was trending on Twitter again. And a cursory scroll through the hashtag was enough to tell me that people had very much the same idea that I had, that Tumblr had a real chance to make itself very relevant again. Earlier in the week, it was trending because of the news that showing female anatomy was going to be allowed again. And while that isn't quite the freedom of not safe for work expression that everybody associated with Tumblr back in the days, it was certainly something that piqued people's interest. And I have not forgotten the Tumblr sexy man poll that happened a little bit ago. That was really popular. Sans won, deserved. But I'm seeing that in general, people are really being reminded of 2012 again, be it from fashion, internet meme culture, everything. Note, I want zero mention of the fact that I use Twitter in light mode. I don't want to talk about it. Tumblr knows the position that they're in right now. Whichever Gen Z or millennial intern is running their Twitter account at the moment is blatant about the fact that they want people to return back to the platform and to gain interest in it again. And as people wonder if they will have to leave Twitter because of Elon buying it and potentially ruining the platform, it seems they should look no further than Tumblr. A lot of political figures on Twitter, especially on the more conservative side, seem to think that the majority of people who use the platform use it to engage in political discourse. I don't know about that. I personally use it to keep up with people I'm interested in, look at funny world events, and then also look at some of the more serious ones. If political discourse takes over the platform, where do the funny go? I haven't forgotten that the true birthplace of funny meme content is in the reblog replies on Tumblr, and in my opinion, that likely greatly influenced Twitter humor to this day. So why not take it back to the source? Now, I've seen many concerned users fear for what will happen when Gen Zs who don't understand Tumblr culture flood the platform and make it a new TikTok. But honestly, I'm not sure that there's that much to fear. With the abundance of TikToks that give me Vine energy playlists out there, I think it's safe to say that a lot of the people who actually migrate to the platform would probably embody the true meme spirit that was alive on Tumblr back in the day. And I myself, as someone who has been on both sides, think it would be less of a disaster than the millennial Tumblr users are fearing, and maybe we shouldn't gatekeep so much. A quick YouTube search of the word Tumblr brings up many videos made over the past year or so about how Tumblr is back, including the toxicity, aesthetics, and the good old memes that came with it. The general undertone of these videos is that in bringing back Tumblr, we are also bringing back a romanticization of the worst parts of the platform, and that is something I can absolutely agree with. I was around to see the massive idolization almost of having poor mental health that was really alive on Tumblr, and it certainly did influence me in my teens. But in a way, that kind of stuff also never really went away on the internet. It just existed in other forms and on other platforms. And I think a rise in the romanticization of mental health issues that we are seeing again can be blamed heavily on the COVID quarantine era, and the fact that people were truly just more depressed than ever. I don't think the Tumblr aesthetic alone is like an influence, like a major influence on this trend. It's just that, like clothing trends, things have a cycle, and it's been 5 to 10 years since the peak Tumblr depression era, and it's coming back. Just like low-rise jeans, no one wanted it, but it's here again, and it seems like it's here to stay. Against my will. I think there are valid things to fear about what could happen if Tumblr came back along with its former toxicity, but also, again, that kind of thing is rampant on TikTok, and it just really seems to be something that happens. That's not to say that it isn't bad. It absolutely is bad, but this kind of negative aesthetic of being sad is not going to influence another generation of teens. And maybe that's just because it sucks to be a teenager in this world. Tumblr is at a pivotal moment right now. If they're able to grasp on to an audience that is mourning Twitter as we know it, they could bring a new life to the platform. And certainly the fact that it's trended multiple times over the past few weeks is a good sign. This could be all talk. A lot of the people who talk about the resurgence of Tumblr and going back to the platform may not actually make an effort to use it and really get back onto it. But the future is certainly looking brighter than it was like a few months ago or a year ago. For now, it's all really just speculation that Tumblr could be the next big thing. And maybe I'll revisit this in a few months if something actually happens. But my prediction is that along with the nostalgia that people have already been feeling for the platform over the course of COVID, this could be the push that Tumblr needs to get back into the spotlight. So I might have to dust off my personal blog and get back into HTML editing again. The good times. If you enjoyed this video, please like it down below. I have a lot more I can actually say about the topic, but these are just some of the thoughts I've had since I saw Tumblr trending yesterday. And this is also my first kind of video in this format, so if you enjoyed it, please subscribe. I want to make more kind of internet commentary and internet history videos in the future, as well as miscellaneous variety content. So if you are interested, please subscribe and join me on this journey. But comment down below any thoughts and predictions that you have about whether Tumblr is actually going to come back. Like, will it be the TikTok of 2023? Okay, bye. Make sure you remember your logins for Tumblr. Do I remember my login for Tumblr?